Alright, so to start with, we'll go through the winter jugs that I did. My cool season crops were kind of a miss. This is the bok choy. We did have a very quick warming this year, so bok choy went to seed or bolted pretty quickly. Beside that, I do have some cilantro and dill, which I do need to get planted out. They're more than capable. Some poppies, which also need to be planted out, and lettuce, which honestly it's kind of just for looks at this point. But I started a whole bunch of different flowers in the jugs. Kind of hit or miss on the success rate. Some things have done very well. You can kind of see in some of them, and some of them you can see are kind of bursting out. Those are zinnias bursting out of the jug there. But right here along the trellis, I did plant some sweet peas, the flower sweet peas, and they are coming up right here. You can see them. But I did go in and till all of the beds except for the back two because they were occupied, as you can see, by cool season crops. But in doing so, I brought up a lot of seeds, not necessarily weeds. I mean, while there are certainly weeds, this bed is full of cleome, and I don't recall putting cleome here, so I'm kind of shocked at that. But I did anticipate to have cleome on the edge, so we'll just kind of weed the rest of it. But then we do have some marigolds popping up, and potentially a few gomphrena. Not as many as I wanted to see, but it's still very early in the season, so some may pop up. There's also a lot of cilantro, which I did anticipate there being, but so far I haven't seeded anything in this bed except for the sweet peas on the trellis. Definitely we'll be thinning out these marigolds and possibly picking them up and moving them. As I said, low effort, digging up what's already coming out of the ground. Over here we do have the lavender that came back. Note to self, I need to cut the dead off of it after it's done this year, because now it just looks kind of scraggly. But same here, we do have some marigolds, and I'm pretty sure those may be the Cracker Jack marigold, but potentially just the French dwarf. Then I did have 2 parsley and chives that were in grow bags along the back fence right there last year. They were still alive early this spring, so I took them out of those grow bags, and I put 2 of the parsley here, a chive here. That's pretty much all I've done to this bed. I haven't seeded anything aside from the sweet peas. This bed I did do leaf mulch last year, so we shall see how that goes. I put the other 3 chives from the grow bags here, and as you'll see, all of the chives, including that one over there, do have little buds on them. I'm so excited to see the blooms on these, because I've never seen the chive blooms except in pictures, and they look really pretty. So, but then here, this whole back row here, I have seeded / dug up and transplanted other volunteers. Right here, bachelor buttons. So hopefully getting a variety of colors. I did order a bright pink seed this year, so some of these are the bright pink, some of them are the mix, and some of them are the blue. So these 2 right here were dug up from the front bed up there, and then that one as well. I just planted that one yesterday, and that one, so that's why they're looking a little droopy. But then these right here are those walking onions from up there that I dug up. That's why they're kind of looking a little bad. But then also I did go and buy some dahlia tubers, just a decorative mix pack from Lowe's. I got 5 tubers, and I planted right here yesterday, so hopefully those do well. Here I did seed some lettuce, and it is coming up, but it's honestly getting too hot for it. It's not going to do anything. Put another parsley there from the grow bags, and then of course the cilantro has already bolted, but just giving something for the pollinators before much else has come up, so I'm leaving it there. I do like the idea of it reseeding itself, because that's the best way to grow it. I feel starting it from seed is just really hard for me, so I like for it to go seed, but then I ended up with volunteers like all in this bed. So I mean, it's not too big of a deal to pull them. but then it just kind of spreads. Like here's a volunteer cilantro as well. Right here I do have, you can barely see it, but I did plant an amaranth there, and then there's some right there. Looking forward to that. That's some thyme that I transplanted from one of the grow bags. This is probably one of those ones that I need to prune up too. But you'll see it does have little blooms on it. They're little delicate blooms, pretty. Then here I seeded some bachelor buttons as well. So there's several that have come up looking pretty good. Cilantro and cleome mixed in there, and some marigolds. So we're just gonna kind of, I'm thinking about leaving the cilantro because maybe it'll kind of come up in the fall a little bit better. But at the same time, I don't want cilantro in this whole bed. I also don't want cleome in this whole bed. So probably gonna end up pulling those seeds. And then in the green stalk over here, I seeded these Johnny Jump Up violas in the fall, and they started blooming very early on. They took off. Look at that, that's just so pretty. There's kind of a few different colors. There's this one that has like the yellow, light purple, and dark purple. Then there's some that are just fully purple. But yeah, they're just very pretty. They're little delicate flowers. Definitely something to do again next year. They're really pretty. That one's a bit more of a vibrant yellow. But everything else that was in this kind of hasn't done that great. There's a few lettuces that are doing okay, but nothing too impressive. Back here is one of the few vegetables I have planted already, which is sweet peas. I got I did not do Oregon snow peas. I did the Mammoth melting peas right here. This is a new one. It's a golden sweet pea. It's supposed to have purple flowers with a yellow pea pod. Thought that'd be interesting to grow. Just more for looks, honestly. And then there's the sugar snap peas right there. All came up pretty good, easily too. And then of course my whole row of echinacea. I'm debating on whether or not to leave these here for another season so that I can more certainly know which colors. I do know I have a white, I believe it's white, pink, yellow. But none of the others bloomed last year. And I do know that I've got several coming up here. So I'm just kind of debating, and I do see one right here is almost starting to bloom. Everything is blooming kind of early this year, which is great. But yeah, just deciding whether or not I want to leave these. I might leave some, dig up some others. Like, I really need to do it now if I'm going to do it, so probably not gonna happen. I know probably gonna have a bunch of Gomphrena come up here. So I'm debating this because I love having this row of flowers in here, but my plan is to have some pumpkins and a Tithonia sunflower, Mexican sunflower right here on the edge. And of course the Monarda bee balm is coming back. Very, very lush and full. So we'll see what ends up happening here. Honestly, it'll probably just stay the echinacea, and I'm going to try to better document the colors that they bloom so that I can move them around the yard because I love echinacea. But then I totally forgot to mention that I'm in the process of redoing all the pathways. So I started this weekend, and you can see the difference. It's just amazing. So we did clear out the strawberry bed because honestly we weren't eating them. They're still right there though, blooming, and got strawberries on them, doing great and thriving. But we don't use them. So my thought is to put a bench right here, maybe put some like flowers at the base of the bench, and just create like a nice little seating area. This irrigation pipe will move back there because we did put in a bed back there to kind of do a U shape. And I did lay brick here because it is a little bit of a step down, not very much. Redid the brick here as well, since I did remove the grow bags because I'm not anticipating on doing anything with grow bags because they just don't do well in my experience. So I relaid this brick, and I'm going to work on continuing that all the way down to meet the other bed there. But I am in the process of pulling up all of the weed fabric because it does absolutely nothing. And I've laid down cardboard all under here, and then put the mulch on top of it. So let's just say in the future, when this isn't a garden, this soil right here is going to be very healthy, because there's a lot of organic matter. Although I do know this mulch has the dyes, it's not the greatest, but under this is the mulch from the city that does not have dyes. So there's going to be a lot of organic matter that's broken down over time. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the front part. And back here we do have carrots from the fall, which I'm letting them do their thing because they're looking pretty good. I did seed some spinach is coming up. And then here are a bunch of brassicas that I have no idea what they are because I didn't label anything in the fall. And so it could be kale, it could be rutabaga, it could be beets. I really don't know. I've never grown. One thing I've ever grown was kale. I don't think it's any of it's broccoli. I did pull a turnip. No, was it a turnip? Or was it a rutabaga? And now I'm questioning myself on which it was because I don't know. Didn't eat it. Just pulled it. But yeah. So that's really all that's going on in this bed. Oh, we did have asters in the pots on the back porch in the fall last year, some hardy asters, which do come back every year, they're perennials. So I did dig them out of the pots on the back porch and brought them back here. So they're like a little purple flower. Not the prettiest things, honestly. Oh, I do believe that is a broccoli. Maybe not. I don't know. It kind of is bolting for sure, whatever it is. I don't know. It doesn't look like a broccoli. Oh, no, I think it's some kind of turnip or rutabaga. That's interesting. But yeah, so we'll see how they do in ground. They didn't do the greatest in the pots. I would expect them to be blooming already, though. That's the thing, because they are a hardy plant, and I think they're a cool season crop. So, I don't know what's going on there. I did dig up a sunflower seedling that was growing in the path up front. Put it there. It's not doing the greatest. I just did it yesterday. And then back here, we do have kale that I started in the winter sowing jugs. There's about 4 on each side. I did pick up a yarrow from JJ's because I've been always wanting to grow yarrow for the past few years now. So I got my hands on some of that. That's the echinacea. It is pink. I do know that. So for certain, the one that I do know I can move is this one. Just don't know where to. Something is eating its leaves. I'm not quite sure. Something is also trying to eat my little seedlings. I do have some, what is this? Hollyhocks right here. There's 1, 2, 3 for certain. Maybe we'll have like a second and third come there. There's some larkspur there. I don't think any of it's come up yet. I do know that's a lettuce plant. I also planted some hollyhock over here, which I forgot to mention. And there's probably like 4 right there, but something is trying to eat them, so I don't know if they'll do anything. But yeah, so far that's what's going on in the garden. I'm gonna try to be better, and of course Plant just following me around in the garden. Try to be better this year about videoing. I'm hopeful that this year will not be as stressful in the garden. I keep reminding myself this is a hobby and it's not meant to stress me, so when it starts to stress me, I know I'm doing too much. Because I've got a lot going on. So, trying to use this as a stress escape, not a stressor. So, and hopefully by redoing the paths, that'll help me a little bit too, because it'll cut down some of the weeds that have been growing. And I will say I am very sore from doing all of that yesterday. But I'm very excited for how it's going to look. This area here, I'm not going to put any of, if I have extra mulch, I may do it. But since this is growing space, I don't really want to put that mulch that has the dyes in it in there. But you can see a bunch of little echinacea seedlings coming up from where they were last year. And I have not taken down the netting from last year. I just left it up. I do anticipating on changing it out, but I figured for the peas, they only use about this half anyway, and this part is pretty still good intact. The other side where the squash was is kind of but we'll fix that when we get closer to planting squash, which we're still about a month away from that. We are warming up very quickly though this year, but we did have a few cool nights this week, which is why I'm hesitating on planting further. So anyway, well, that is the garden tour, and today is April 14th. I forgot to say that at the beginning of the video, but it is April 14th. And I believe we have had our last frost last week, so we shall see.